we talked once about doing a project, a teen sex comedy. That's it. Mouth.
When Mike Norton says sex, shit just falls over.
Continue.
Where was it? I wanted to do a comic with Tim, and it was going to be like an 80s like teen sex comedy kind of thing. And he's like, okay, and he went away and came up with Hack Slash and just did that comic. So it turned out better that way, and that's how I'm involved. Every once in a while I'll draw something, but mostly I'm an admirer like you guys.
Actually, you designed the original logo. Let's give you credit there.
I ripped off the original logo. I didn't even realize I did it. I did the original logo, and then I realized a couple years later that it was almost exactly like the logo of a Friends comic that I had seen a couple of years before that, and I apologized profusely to him. And he said, "Oh yeah, I know you did that." I was like, "Well, thanks for not suing us."
I guess I met Tim. He was one of the first people that I met when I moved to Chicago and started looking for work, and I met him at a drink and draw. And he asked maybe the next day if I wanted to do a cover for his book Hack Slash. So I ran to the comic store to find out what that was. And they didn't sell it. It was a shop in Peoria, and it was the only comic shop in Peoria, and they didn't. I don't think they even knew what Hack Slash was. Peoria, it hadn't hit Peoria yet.
Wow.
But the internet knew, and I found out on the internet, and then I did a cover for it. It was the first cover, my first professional job I ever got, and I became a longtime fan of both Tim Keeley and Hack Slash.
And the Wizard of Oz cover is the one that Jenny did, which is a lot of people's favorites. Combines nice, cute things with Hack Slash, so it works pretty well.
And creepy little munchkin.
Yes, horrible munchkin demon thing.
He's the one.
I'm Tim's brother, so I mean, I got involved with the hand-me-down thing is taken very seriously where we are. So I got Tim's shirts and pants when I was a kid, and I get Hack Slash now. So me and Mike here, yeah, we are writing the new upcoming series. And then
Start warming up now, boys.
Let's just go straight to Batman. We're going to do Batman next arc. It's me and Mike.
I started reading it, I came across it just, not by accident, I guess by this happenstance. I'm from the south side of the city, and my old comic shop was like a comic shop and baseball card shop, and I just kind of was picking up all indie books around that time, and that was especially appealing because I was like, oh, there's a really hard draw on this, so that's when I picked it up and started reading it then. I didn't meet Tim till a little bit later, so it was Hack Slash before.
I didn't know that. I'm very touched. Let's see, I got involved with it. So Mike and I had talked about that there wasn't any comic books that had like a teenage sex theme kind of thing. And we talked about there should be there should be a slasher comic. And
I think you added the slasher.
I might have added the slasher thing.
I just wanted to do Can't Hardly Wait as a comic.
Yeah. So
I think you added Jason to it.
Yeah. I think it was, the original idea was Can't Hardly Wait with Jason. I think that was what it was. But I just kept thinking about that idea, and then it was Halloween, and I was sick, and I stayed home, and I took a bunch of cold meds. I've told the story much times, but it's still true. I just took all these cold meds, and I took too much, and then I tried to, mellow out on the couch, and I noticed there was like, they run marathons of like every slasher franchise on Halloween on like AMC and stuff, and I think I must have just zoned out and watched like 8 hours of that. And just laying on the couch, I realized it's all the same world. That was it. They all take place in the same place. And then just, added a hot girl and a giant monster guy with a gas mask to it. Bingo. And now 10 years later, I'm still talking about this goddamn thing.
I got involved because Tim walked in the office one day and said, I was in the bathtub yesterday and I had this idea. And when he talked about it, it was such a no-brainer. It was like, how is there not like this concept already? And that's when you know you have a really good idea. So I was all about publishing it, and we started off with that one shot. I don't know, how do we? Stefano Castelli was up for doing it, so.
Well, originally when we first talked about it, I was going to draw it, and I didn't think I could write something. So we're like, I don't know, who could write it? And you said, well, what about Kirkman? You always want to work with Kirkman.
Yeah.
And Josh,
This is back when Kirkman would, calling us like, and was like, we talked about actually doing something before he was a god.
This is when Josh turned down Robert Kirkman's
G.I. Joe.
Oh, G.I. Joe.
Kirkman
that was an
yeah,
awesome
was Kirk-
story.
Justro's going to put it based on the moon. And when I said, well, our Joes were trying to make it more grounded than that, he's like, you guys lack vision.
I always remember the other thing he said about it, because I had asked him about maybe doing something together, and he said, I don't know, man, don't you remember that Snake Eyes thing? What's the gate? It's on the moon!
But yeah, so we ended up having Stefano do that original piece, and then my role ended up being more like, obviously, just on the publishing side and just pushing it and trying to promote the hell out of it. And then we ended up in our crazy Hollywood sidetrack of lots of trips to Los Angeles and out there trying to hustle it, on and on. So
Remember when the Hollywood guys were still trying to court us and they'd buy us drinks and shit?
yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
That one time we went out to, the first time we went to LA, we were like, we rented that convertible. Like, that's when we were like nerding out, we were like taking pictures of Beverly Hills sign and everything before we were all jaded.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hi, I was finishing up my time on Wonderland for Zenoscope, and I kind of was freaking out a little bit because I didn't know or have anything lined up for after that. And I was talking to my art dealer, Paolo, who's also Tim's art dealer, and he mentions that, Tim, were you looking at the time for another artist for the ongoing? So I was totally up for doing some more work, and I had heard like little murmurs of hack slash throughout like cons and stuff like that, and I'd seen art for it and everything, and concept looked like a lot of fun, so I was totally aboard. And what did I do, like 2-3 years?
Yeah, I think you almost did 4.
Almost 4 years on the road, so yeah, lots and lots of fun.
And Dan drew the, my favorite one that I think everybody forgot about. My first Maniac is my favorite Dan Least there are, but it's also my favorite hack slash story.
It's a really good story.
Well, besides Army of Darkness hack slash, I like that one. But you also drew that one, so
It all blends in.
It blends in, man.
Cassie has been